Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Emami Limited Q4 FY21 conference call hosted by IIFL Capital Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Percy Panthaki from IIFL Capital Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to host the Q4 FY21 results call for Emami. Emami is represented by Rajesh Sharma, VP Finance, and Mr. Mohan Goenka, Director. So without further ado, I'll give over the call to Mohan.
Thank you, Percy. Very good evening, friends. I welcome you all to this conference call on Emami's result for the fourth quarter and year ended 31st March 21. I hope all of you and your loved ones are safe and keeping good health in the midst of this second wave of the pandemic. I really don't need to tell you about the second wave of the pandemic, severity of which has caught the nation off guard. While the entire country may not be in lockdown, parts of it are, and the spiraling effects of the spread of COVID-19 is practically affecting every family today. As a result, the momentum of industry recovery has somewhat been affected for obvious reasons. Being better prepared this time around to handle the dynamic situation, we are working on various strategies to overcome the sudden roadblocks that we are facing. Like last year, this second wave of the pandemic has hit the peak summer months, which is likely to have some impact on our summer portfolio. With the graph of COVID-19 at this moment have started a slight downward trend, we are confident of all our brands performing strongly in the coming quarters. Coming to our quarter 4 results, I am very happy to share that we have continued with our growth momentum and consistently delivered broad-based growth across brands, channels, and businesses. Our sales and profitability have continued to improve quarter-on-quarter basis. During the quarter, our domestic business grew by 44% and the international business also posted a strong growth of 28%. Institutional business, despite posting a sequential recovery, declined by 3%. On a consolidated level, our revenue at 731 crores grew by 37% over previous year. Since the base quarter was impacted due to COVID-19 and lockdown, our performance, if compared with the base quarter of last year also, you will observe that we have delivered a double-digit growth of 14% over Q4 FY19, which we believe is healthy considering the challenges we faced during the period. All our major brands grew by more than 30% during the quarter. If we compare our growth against quarter 4 FY19, the healthcare range grew by 48%, pain management grew by 33%, Navratna by 13%, Kesh King by 7%, BoroPlus by 5%, and 7 Oils in 1 by 45%. As you all know, the pandemic has put consumers' focus more on health and wellness and is today a necessary lifestyle requirement, which is a strong focus on Ayurveda. Our healthcare business, with its basket of Ayurveda-based innovative products as well as digital-first products, have been doing quite well. Our own e-commerce portal, Zandu Care, has been doing much better than what we had envisaged. It is today the #1 portal in India with the health and alternative health and remedy category, which offers free doctor consultation for consumers as well. Further, we have added new consumers through many of the Zandu healthcare products such as Chyawanprash, Keshri Jeevan, Pancharishth, honey, cough syrup, health juices, and single herb tablets. With our continuously working on the NPDs across brands and categories and plans to launch differentiated products offering in the generic and ethical segment, where we see high market growth potential and where we have gaps in our current portfolio. The healthcare category offers good headroom for growth, and we are working towards relevant and meaningful proposition and products for consumers to achieve this, and are very optimistic about the business. We keep our innovation wheels churning during the quarter and introduced a jaggery-based variant of Zandu Chyawanprash for the first time in India. We also launched Kesh King Ayurvedic Onion range and Navratna Gold Ayurvedic Cool Oil in the e-commerce channel. Overall, our new launches contributed to nearly 3% of our domestic sales in quarter 4 and 4% in FY21. During this quarter, both the urban and rural markets performed well. Retail channel also picked up momentum, while modern trade grew by 46% and e-commerce continued its robust run, growing by almost 3 times. In quarter 4 FY21, our e-commerce business increased its contribution by 200 basis points to 3.7% of domestic revenues. We also completed digitization of rural sales force successfully during the quarter. Additionally, we have also embarked on a focused rural expansion drive under Project Khoj by increasing our rural footprints in the top 4 potential rural contributing states. We have been consistently taking steps to strengthen our existing team across functions, focusing especially on sales and distribution to bring in increased professionalism and result-oriented approach. As I had mentioned in our earlier call, we are creating a separate organization structure and activation program to leverage the opportunity of standalone modern trade. In other words, independent modern trade stores that are growing very well post-COVID. This will help us drive offtakes of NPDs as well as higher margin large packs. Our international business grew by 28%, led by robust performance in markets of SAARC, GCC, and Africa during the quarter. While the performance of Kesh King in new geographies has been encouraging, and 7 oils in 1 continues to exceed and outperform our expectations. Creme 21, the German brand that we acquired in 2019, has since then consolidated its position to become the leading brand, contributing significantly to our international business. In this quarter, our input cost pressures increased due to inflation in key commodities, which led to a gross margin decline of 250 basis points. However, EBITDA at 163 crores grew by 65% and PAT at 88 crores grew by nearly 4 times. Cash profit at 171 crores also grew by 57%. As we look back at the years gone by, I strongly believe that Emami has performed exceptionally well by delivering broad-based growth amidst difficult circumstances. Despite the first quarter being a complete washout due to the nationwide lockdown, we bounced back strongly and consistently by delivering double-digit growth every quarter on quarter basis. To close the year with revenue of 2,881 crores, which grew by almost 8%. Our gross margins for the full year at 67.7% increased by 70 basis points on account of benign raw material prices in the earlier parts of the year, coupled with stringent cost control measures. EBITDA at 883 crores grew by 28%. EBITDA margins, which are at an all-time high of 30.7%, grew by 460 basis points. PAT at rupees 455 crores grew by 50%, with a margin at 15.8%, increasing by 440 basis points. And cash profits at 822 crores also grew by 29%, with margins at 28.5%, increasing by 440 basis points. Emami also rewarded its shareholders handsomely during the year with 2 interim dividends of rupees 4 each, cumulatively amounting to 356 crores. That is a payout of 43% on cash profits, and also completed buyback of its shares amounting to 221 crores, including taxes. Despite these outflows, we closed the year with a net cash surplus of 357 crores. With our renewed focus on digitization and future-ready business strategies, we are confident of all our brands performing strongly in the coming year. Our summer brands, despite the surprise and renewed onslaught of the pandemic, are performing better than the last season. We will continue to tweak our business strategy to keep up with the fast-changing dynamic environment. We are satisfied that all our commitments on various initiatives have delivered good results. With this brief, I now open the floor for Q&A.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Avinash Roy from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yeah, congrats on good volume growth. My first question is on the immunity products. So Chyawanprash and other immunity products. If I see Q2 and Q3, you and industry and market leader all did really well, and Q4 it came off. So if you could discuss some color on how was Q4 versus the Q2, Q3 run rate for Chyawanprash and immunity. And the related question is, so whenever COVID cases go up, the consumption of these products goes up, and vice versa. So what can you do proactively to really inculcate a more regular consumption of these products in the longer term? So that is the first question.
So Abdish, you would appreciate that immunity still is a by in our total sales. So the growth has to be led by the leader. But still Q4 is relatively a very small sales of immunity products despite of high COVID numbers. Though the COVID numbers were small in the fourth quarter. Even in the second wave, what we have seen and noticed, Abdish, is that the immunity, what it was in the first wave, we have not seen that kind of a momentum in the second wave for immunity range. So it would take its own time for these range to be built. But as I said, we still are relatively very small.
And what would you attribute wave to a different trend? Is it because of the rural impact? So it's more of a shock to the consumer in terms of either sentiments and his own personal whatever cases happening, and maybe some level of the shops being closed, or is it consumer behavior which has changed this time?
So what we have seen, one is very, very clear. Like last time, how sanitizer business took off, this time almost it is negligible. That is definitely a trend. As I said, immunity also, the way people had jumped on immunity products, whatever they were getting, this time we haven't seen that kind of a momentum. So people also have, I think, found a lot of home care remedies this time, and they are doing that, then jumping on some of the branded goods.
Sure, that's useful. One second related question to immunity is honey portfolio. I understand here again, it's a launch which has happened in the past 2 years, and you are a relatively small player versus the market leader. My question is, when you see the other new launch, they are now claiming a 100 crore run rate for next year for just the honey portfolio. So if you could discuss how has been your honey portfolio growth, and is there any learnings you can take from the new launch which happened this year in honey, the industry?
Again, it's the same point, Avnish. For honey, we are very small compared to the size. Our numbers from last year, but on an overall basis, we are not even 1% of our total sales. We're much smaller.
And last question, Kesh King, any comment? How do you see the outlook there? When I see 2-year number, the growth is a bit more moderate and for this quarter. And how do you see the outlook for FY22 in Kesh King?
So, on a 2-year basis, you would see we have grown at almost 7% as far as Kesh King is concerned. So, and as I said, unfortunately, this second wave has taken a toll on some of these brands. We were doing exceedingly well in the month of April, but as we set in May, we saw a slight fall in these brands, particularly the summer products and Kesh King and Fair and Handsome per se. But still, I think as we go under unlocking, I'm very, very confident of achieving a double-digit growth in almost every portfolio.
Okay, that's
because what in the last 9 months post lockdown, we have seen a lot of new consumers coming into the Kesh King portfolio and also in some of the other brands. So we are very confident post 1st June or maybe 10th of June. We are confident that we will run with the same strategy what we had done last time and confident of achieving a double-digit growth.
But are you able to track, sir, new customers? How do you track that? You said a lot of new customers have come. So is it for the adjacent products of Kesh King?
Yeah, we get the data. So how many new consumers have tried the product, of course.
Okay, that's all from me. That's very helpful and thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Arnav Mitra from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Mohanji. My first question was on healthcare again. So while your portfolio is not immunity driven in a sense, you had a very strong healthcare year in FY21. So on that strong year, do you expect to grow in FY22 given the high, base that you have? And if that is to happen, would it be through the core categories of balms itself, or it's driven by a lot of NPD plan that you may have in the for FY22 for healthcare?
So Arnav, when we say healthcare, we exclude the balm. Okay. So excluding the balm, also we are very confident of at least achieving a 20 to 22% growth, even on a higher base. So it would of course be with new launches, with Zandu Care, the portal that we have launched, with our expansion on distribution only for the healthcare range. So it's quite an aggressive plan we have taken for HCD business for FY22.
Right, and specifically on pain management also, where you've had a very strong year, any sense of how sequentially that business is trending? Is it holding on to the strong numbers that you have been doing last few quarters, or are you sensing some moderation in the pain management business?
Interestingly, Arnav, pain we have seen in the second wave, it is much more stronger than what we had seen in the first wave. That's the only portfolio which is really holding on and which is going much aggressive than what we had envisaged. So these are trends which are very difficult for me to understand, why suddenly pain management has really taken off in the second wave and not so much of immunity.
Right. My second question only was...
The only reason what we sense is because of the stress levels that have gone up, could be one of the reasons.
Okay. Mohanji, just on the 1Q June quarter, I know we are still in a very, very volatile times, and there's still a month to go. And last year, of course, you have a low base, but if you similarly had to compare with the 2-year-old June quarter, which is 1Q of FY20, how do you think the quarter could are you looking at definitely a decline which could happen on the 2-year-old number given the impact, or given that some parts of your portfolio are doing well, you could actually see some growth on the 2-year-old first quarter also?
Arnab, we would let us see if unlock happens. When does it happen? If it happens in 1st June or maybe 10th of June or 15th of June, then we are definitely confident of doing much better. But as of now, I think we would be able to touch our FY20 numbers, what it looks like.
Okay.
Maybe a slight growth from those numbers.
And Mohan ji, my last question was on margin. So if you could just articulate which are the key commodities where you are seeing very high inflation at an overall level, how much is the inflation for your RM basket, and also the pricing that you have taken. And generally, given that you do have high ad spends, do you feel that at an EBITDA level there is any risk to margins for FY22, or it is within the range where you, between pricing and other cost lines, you would be able to broadly manage your full year EBITDA margin?
Arnab, that's a good one, because when we started the year with our budgets, we had taken an aggressive number in my phone call also. I think I had mentioned that we will go aggressive on advertising. But as I said, we have to rework on our strategies. In the first quarter, we have of course cut our advertising depending on the sales numbers and due to lockdowns. So I don't see there should be much impact as far as EBITDA margins are concerned, what we had planned. Of course, we would have to see how the numbers go in the second, third and fourth quarter. But first quarter advertising would be low compared to last year. Last year was a washout. We did not advertise at all. Okay. So I don't see much pressure on the margins. Even on the gross margins, we have taken aggressive price increase for a lot of our portfolio. Almost, I think, about a 4% price increase we have passed on because of increased inflation on raw materials. So I don't see any pressure as far as gross margin or the EBITDA margins are concerned.
And in just one follow-up to that, so other than the crude derivatives like packaging, LLP, is there also inflation in menthol, or menthol prices are reasonably steady right now?
So menthol are very steady. There is no pressure on menthol. Only on RBO, rice bran oil, edible oils are, at an all-time high. So that is also a little worrisome. But as I said, Arnab, I don't see any pressure on the gross margins because we have been aggressively taking price increases.
Yeah. Thanks, Mohanji. That's it from my side. All the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kunal Vora from BNP Paribas. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity and congrats for good numbers. Firstly, on Fair and Handsome, despite the relaunch, the sales is not recovered fully. So, what's the issue there? Is it an industry-wide issue, or is it like competitive issue, or is it like meaning is still like not really coming back? If you can share your thoughts on that first.
So, Kunal, if you would have seen our fourth quarter number, we had grown handsomely in Fair and Handsome, okay, sequentially. But unfortunately, as I said, that because of the lockdown and most men are staying indoors and there are not much social events, so this category is badly hit. Okay. So it is to do with the category, nothing to do much regarding Fair and Handsome.
Okay. Secondly, you mentioned that Zandu portal is doing well. Would it be possible to provide some numbers? How many downloads or users you are seeing, sales contribution? Like, how do you plan to leverage it? Like, will there be more products available there? You can share your thoughts on that.
So every month on month, I think I had mentioned it last time, we are doing almost a business of 2.5 crores every month. And every month, almost about 55 to 60,000 consumers are buying products directly from only Zandu portal now. So since the time we have launched, we have almost got a database of 42 lakh consumers, on this portal. So I think it's a quite a remarkable achievement, I would say, we have done over the last 7-8 months. And we are continuously strengthening this portal to see, how consumers benefit directly. We would launch a lot of products only for this portal. only on this portal going forward.
And are you looking to leverage this into other brands? Like, are there opportunities available for other brands as well from the learnings which you had on the Zandu portal?
So of course, it is too early for me to say. As I said, Zandu itself has a lot of potential. We would first leverage the entire Zandu product portfolio plus a lot of new launches which only we will be doing on this portal. And then we would see whether we can do it for other brands. But as of now, the entire focus is on healthcare.
Sure. And just one last question. Will it be possible to provide revenue split by brand or category for FY21? You've given the growth numbers, but the contribution mix you can provide for FY21.
Those numbers we are not discussing right now, Kunal.
Oh, okay, fine. And that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question is from the line of Prakash Kapadia from Anived Portfolio Managers. Please go ahead.
A couple of questions from my end. On Navratna, you mentioned summer season demand could get affected. Is it, because rural and key in the belts are affected in the second wave? Is it alone? Or is it, even before the second wave started, the channel pipeline was lower in terms of filling?
So, Prakash, I think we had done exceedingly well in the fourth quarter to fill in the pipeline because none of us expected this kind of second wave coming in the month of April, May. But because the migrant laborers, they started leaving, the factories started closing down, most of the sales come from rural, which goes through the wholesale. And almost 80 to 90% of the wholesale market is shut now. So, and this time the wave has been badly impacted in the rural areas, which we all know. And Navratna being a rural brand, so definitely it has had an impact. People are not moving out. They are not stepping out of their houses. So the sales is of course impacted both for Navratna cooling oil and for Navratna cooling talc. But we still have 1 month to go. Let us see how, if God willingly, from 1st of June, if markets start opening up, then we would be able to make up some bit of it.
In Zandu website has, almost 65 kind of products. So are these OTC products only when consumer can buy for, health and hygiene? You mentioned in your opening remarks about, some doctor support program or consultation. Tell us some more about that program.
No, so not that every product is OTC. Some of it are ethical and generic, which are prescribed by the doctors. But the large proportion of sales, of course, come from the OTC range.
The larger part is it.
Yeah.
So, if somebody has a doubt, he calls in at a particular call center number to ask for convey a doubt and say, I want this product, how will you help me? That is the kind of support system we are trying to create.
Yeah, absolutely. They have to go to the portal and then you have to, of course, give all the data and that. Then they will guide you. If you want to order, you can order. If you want consultancy of the doctors, they will guide you and take you to a doctor.
And lastly, on almond cooling oil, we had tried earlier and had not worked. So is there some new formulation or specific target for the women segment or a specific age group we are again trying this launch?
We have only launched it in the e-com platform, the Zandu Gold oil, Navratna Gold. We are trying it out again, as I said, in the e-commerce platform.
Fine. I'll join back with you, sir. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Percy Panthaki from IIFL Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. I just wanted to understand a little bit more about this Zandu portal. A few questions on that. So firstly, how does the delivery happen? Does it go from a centralized warehouse of your own, your own warehouse using some delivery partner? Or does the order just direct to some nearby retail kirana and he delivers it?
No, so we have two centers per se in India. It is done through us. We have of course tied up with delivery partners, but the orders comes to us and we deliver it.
So basically, you would require intercity transport for this.
So as I said, we have two centers, one in Delhi and one in Calcutta. From there, we distribute it across India.
Okay. But wouldn't the cost be prohibitive? So someone in Bombay ordering it, maybe he would get it from, it would get shipped all the way from Delhi. So wouldn't the entire cost of this business model be too high?
It is at this point of time, per se, of course, the costs are little higher. As the businesses grow, we can easily open centers in almost 27 locations because we have depots everywhere. But we ourselves did not know that, how this portal would work out. We are learning every day. We are implementing strategies there. As I said, we have almost today data of almost 42 lakh consumers with their phone numbers and details. So let us see. I don't think it is difficult to open. We are strengthening the team there almost on a daily basis. And of course, we have plans to open more centers. That's what I can say.
But any thoughts about whether a hyperlocal kind of model will work? So in my PIN code only, if some retailer who is having that stock, if that order is just directed to him, is that something that you would consider, or you think this centralized system would work better?
No, I told Percy that it has to be centralized because there are a lot of products which are not being serviced by the local retailers. These are exclusively only sold to the Zandu portal.
Okay, understood. Yeah. Secondly, I just wanted to know that since you have the data of so many customers, are you planning to sort of popularize more of a subscription model that every month you would get so and so list of products, whatever you subscribe for, and if you subscribe on an annual basis, you get X amount of discount rather than buying piecemeal?
Percy, you would appreciate, I won't be able to share the entire strategy, what we will do with the Zandu portal here. As I said, we have intensive plan. We are investing aggressively behind this portal. We have got the benefit out of it. So every quarter you will get some data from there, from us.
Okay. Understood. That's all from me. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shirish Pardeshi from Centrum Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, Mohanji and Rajeshji. Hearty congratulations for solid growth of 39% volume growth. Mohanji, I've got few questions. I think you have done the right things in the pandemic time, and I think there is a rethinking of strategy on healthcare. And of course, you have also strengthened the senior management team working around that. What I wanted to understand now, what is the healthcare product gaps which you are thinking, which can fill in the new product team? And also, if you can give some color, what is the penetration which has gone up in the last one year, maybe in terms of touch point? What are the team? You have said that you have reorganized the strategy. So maybe some more color, what this healthcare look like maybe a year from now?
So, Shirish, unfortunately, I won't be able to discuss what are the new product launches we have planned for under healthcare. As I said, there would be exclusive products for the portal. And of course, there are a new range which is coming under Zandu Healthcare. But most of it would come, in the juices, squats, single herbs, or cough syrup. So these are some of the categories where we have increased our focus in the last 6 months, and we would continue to focus on these products, other than Chyawanprash and Pancharishta and Nityam. So, and all the products, whether it is juices, cough syrup, single herbs, or even honey, on a small base, we have almost either doubled or tripled in almost every category. So we are strengthening it, as I said, and we would keep on launching new products also.
Thank you. Mohanji, what related question I had is that is this a penetration-led growth or is it a offtake growth? And the reason why I'm asking, if you can split whether OTC, which is driven by penetration, stroke distribution, and ethical, which is more of a offtake driven. I think I'm looking for some more understanding what this healthcare means for us now.
You would appreciate, Shirish, that still we are very, very small in the total size of the healthcare market. Our total business is not even 200 crores, okay, which includes even Chyawanprash and other products. So we have a long way to go. I can hardly say that we have even penetrated 1% of the total market with so much of diversion and, in this total healthcare business. So, as I said, we have started getting aggressive. Due to pandemic, of course, we got the benefit, and we are strengthening our team in the healthcare very aggressively. And there is a lot of room to grow, what you call optic or inorganic or penetration led. The only focus is to grow.
Okay. My next question is on international business. So in this quarter, we have shown that international contribution is around 17%. Would you tell what is contribution for FY21 and what is the international growth? And one follow-up on that, this CREM 21, how much is this business is contributing to overall international business now?
So in FY21 only, our contribution from international is 17%. And going forward, we have slightly aggressive plans in international business growth. So it might touch about 17.5% to 18%, by FY22. And CREM 21 of the total international business is about 19% or so.
Okay. And would you talk something about on the profitability part in the international business or any further acquisition you are planning to do now?
Right now, of course, we don't have plans for acquisition in the international market. And international profitability is much lower compared to the domestic business.
So is it safe to assume that it will have about 40% plus gross margin?
No, gross margins are similar to the domestic, but there are higher costs, Yeah, there is a huge infrastructure plus even the advertising that we are doing now in some of the markets, which is much higher.
Okay. My last question is if I'm correct, you said
3 years. If you see last 3 years, Shirish, the profitability has increased tremendously in the international business also. I think 3 years back our EBITDA was, but I don't have the numbers right now. We can discuss it offline.
Okay. My last question, if I hear correctly, you said 4% price increase you have already taken. Is that right?
Yeah, for a year it would be because we will take some price increase in the month of June end. So yeah, it would be about 4% for the year.
Okay. No, what I'm more interested after 1st of April, you have taken any price increase so far?
Post 1st of April, yeah, we have taken some price increase in the paint portfolio and in even in the summer brands portfolio. Yeah.
All right. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shantanu Basu from Smith Limited. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mohanji and Rajeshri. I would like to know about your Emasol sales. So how has Emasol as a category done and which subcategory did the highest sales? So that's my first question. And the second question, maybe I think I missed it, so I would like to clarify traction. So how has the e-commerce channel grown in Q4 and FY21, and what is the contribution of e-commerce to FY21 sales, FY21 domestic sales?
So e-com contribution is roughly 3.7% of the domestic sales, which is almost increased 3x in the fourth quarter.
Okay, and this is for the full year, 3.7%?
Yeah, 3.7% is for the full year, yeah. Okay. And as far as Imasol brand is concerned, of course, two brands are showing some promise. One is the toilet cleaner and one is the dishwash. Though we are reworking on the strategy because, it's a challenging market. We would have to consolidate. We can't run across India. So we are seeing which markets are showing some signs, and we would only focus on certain markets instead of focusing it all India.
Okay, and what are those markets?
It is difficult for me to. Yeah.
Okay, and any idea, any ballpark number on the quantum of sales generated by Imasol in Q4?
Oh, it is very, very small. It's not even a percent. It's much smaller.
Okay, not even a percent of total sales, total domestic sales.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Mohanji.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Harit Kapoor from Investec. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. My first question was on the distribution expansion plan, Project Khoj that you spoke of. So if you can just talk about a little bit, Mohanji, on how FY21 has gone on the distribution side and, what kind of expansion plan you're looking for in FY22?
So Harit, I think in my last con call also we had mentioned that there are 4 areas which we had identified. Unfortunately, the plans got a little delayed because of the second wave, and but still the plan remains intact. The 4 points was, of course, strengthening further on e-commerce, which you are seeing the numbers what we are getting. Even in this quarter, we are doing well as far as e-commerce is concerned. We have strengthened our team at the head office for e-commerce. Second is on the standalone modern trade. I said in my con call, in my opening remarks also, that is one area where we have tied up with a lot of single standalone stores, and we are seeing significant, growth there. There also we have hired a new team who would look up to this. Third is on the chemist outlet expansion. We have identified almost 20,000 chemist outlets, high potential chemists, which will be covered by exclusive team. And fourth is on the rural expansion, which is Project Khoj. We have identified 13 states where we would go very deep into 3,000 population villages. But we would start with only 4 high potential states as of now. This is the only project which has got a little delayed, unfortunately, because of the second wave. I think most likely we would start by 15th of June or 30th of June.
Would you say that of these 4, probably the number 4 one, which is the 13-state plan, could probably be the largest in terms of impact on sales for the business over a 2-year period?
No, it would strengthen. It is very because that distribution is part of our overall strategy, and strengthening distribution is key for the size of our business, right, particularly where rural plays a significant role. And it has always been our endeavor to reduce wholesale contribution and reach directly to the selling points, right?
Right.
So I don't know how much it would come out of wholesale, but the only benefit we get that the business stabilizes. We don't have to really depend on the wholesale channel. That is very, very important. And we have seen the benefits coming in the last 3 quarters. You would also seen our numbers. Because of such large distribution base, we could grow what we grew, right? And now it is high time for us to invest behind distribution, advertising, and other stuff.
One bookkeeping question was, you've seen a sharp increase in other income this quarter. So anything one-off there to kind of just point out?
Yeah, Harit, I think in fact there were couple of one-offs. So there are two investments which we have where we got valuation gains of roughly 11 crores each.
Okay. Okay, so that's a 22 crore one-off there. That's
Yeah.
it, right? Ajay? Okay. And third thing was, just one request. If you could just add probably, you used to give market share data every quarter, but if that's not if that's not something you would like to do, at the end of the year presentation, if you could just add market share data, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, so
Thank
from
you.
this year on quarter end, you will get the market share because unfortunately last year we did not subscribe to Nielsen data.
Perfect.
Now we have subscribed it. From this quarter you will get.
Okay, thank you very much, Mohanji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abneesh Roy from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Two questions. First is you have professionalized the company in the last few years and wanted to understand on that if you could give an update. Second is also on tech. We see other companies talk about SAP for HANA, continuous replenishment system, and many other initiatives. Could you also discuss what are the plans, what have you done in the last 2 years for tech?
So Abneesh, your voice was not very clear on the second part. First part I understood is.
Yeah, shall I repeat the second part? So essentially on the tech part, if you could tell us, other companies speak about SAP for HANA, they speak about continuous replenishment system. Could you also say what are the plans for the next 2-3 years and what have you done on the tech side of distribution and production and overall forecasting and all those stuff? What have you done?
So, Abneesh, as far as the IT is concerned, I will have to find out into detail. But what I know is that most of it is now technology driven. We have also moved to HANA, and though I'm not an expert, I can talk much on this. But working from home last time, post that we had really implemented our IT infrastructure and which is working beautifully now. So almost every data is on, live data we have today. And as far as professional management is concerned, you are right that the aggression that you are seeing today and the numbers what we are being able to deliver, it would not have been possible if we did not get right people at the right place. So I would say that, at the top level, whether it is CEO of the international, CEO of the healthcare division, or even our sales head, or, every HOD who is today, even the e-com new head, everything has contributed to this growth. And the aggression, what we are going for next year also is basis discussions with these people only.
Sure. My second and last question is on Zandu portal. I will not ask the questions which were asked till now on that part. But my question is, why do exclusive products for Zandu portal? For example, every other company is doing e-commerce only products. So why don't you offer those Zandu portal products on the e-commerce companies also? Because customer footfall will be far, far higher there, and unit economics will also be much, much easier for the customer and you also. Because he will be ordering across the board from all companies and all categories, while for Zandu it will be a very limited subset.
So, Abneesh, you are right. We would have to think over it, but we also want to popularize the Zandu portal. So if there is some exclusivity, we want people to come to this portal, right? So depending on the demand, and if we see that there is a lot of opportunity going outside, we can take any product outside any time when we want. But let us first grow the portal to a significant size, and then we can decide on the strategies. But right now we want to popularize this.
So you will spend on the advertising bit on the portal also, right? Otherwise, how do you get footfall?
Yeah. No, surely we have, as I said, we have taken aggressive numbers for the Zandu portal for this year, FY22.
That's all from me, sir. Very useful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Gaurav from Haitong Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Congrats on a very good volume numbers. Sir, my question is on the Dubai subsidiary. Last year we've taken some provision impairment of around 68 crores. And this year also there is an addition of another 8 odd crores to that number. So can you throw some light on what this issue is? Is this some receivables issue or what is this about?
Sorry, Gaurav. Can you come again?
Yeah, on the Dubai wholly owned subsidiary, there was impairment of 68 crores last year in other expenses and another 8 crores this year, roughly. So can you throw some light on what this issue is? Is this some receivables that are being written off?
No, yes. So because of one of our subsidiaries, the Dubai subsidiary in particular was not earning profits, so we had taken some provision of the receivables last year. But this year, since it has earned profits, this year we have written back the provision by 8 crores. We have not provided further.
Okay, because the notes to statement says that company has further created provisions of around 7.73 crores. And some amount is coming back in the other income also, which is around 6 crores.
Yeah, so 6 crores is written back of the provision which we did last year.
Okay. So are we expecting anything more or this is largely done?
No, this is largely done.
Okay. And just one more thing on the tax rate, what will be the effective tax rate for FY 22 and 23?
We should safely take around 20%.
20%. Okay. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aditya Gupta from Goldman Sachs. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Just if you could give us some more color on what happened with the gross margins. I think you mentioned mentha oil prices were largely stable. So, but the swing, even on a QoQ or a YoY basis, is fairly significant. So, if you could share some more color, is there a product mix in play over here, or was it just raw materials?
So, Aditya, as I said, we have taken, because seeing at the increase in inflation in some of the raw materials, we have taken price increases. So, if the same continues like this, then we are confident we should be able to do a gross margin of about 66.5 or 67% only.
That's for the next year?
Yeah, that's for the next year, yeah.
Okay. And second question, just on the promoter pledge again. So going by the March filing, it's around a third of the shareholding. So any further progress we have made since then, or what is the plan over the next year or so?
Yeah. So Aditya, as of now, I think the pledge is about 30%. We have reduced in the last 1.5 or 2 months. And as I've been continuously saying, we are absolutely committed, to reduce it further. And hopefully in the next few quarters, you will see a significant reduction.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shirish Pardeshi from Centrum Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Mohanji. Thanks for the opportunity. I just wanted to have some clarification. In the sale, we had created a pledge cover for Novoco, 8%. Is that is going to get released because now the transaction is quite old?
No. So, Shirish, of course, it would be reduced, but as there is some mining, there is some case going on, once that is only sorted, then only they would release these shares.
So, do you think it will happen very soon, or it will take a little longer time?
At current level, it is about 5%, not 8%. We had given 6%, so they have released 1% shares.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And the second question is on now we have generated a lot of cash, and I think but natural there is expectation. Are we going to have a stable, steady, growing dividend policy, or is there any thought that the board has taken, or is there any such policies in place?
So yeah, Shirish, I think what dividends we have given this year, we would expect these kinds of dividends for next year also.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abul Fateh from Baroda Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone, and congratulations for decent recovery and good set of numbers. I had a question on the pledge. You mentioned that the current pledge is 30%, and you have reduced some pledge in the last 1.5 months. So this is because of the repayment of the promoter debt, or is because of the share price moving up?
It's a mix of both, but primarily it's because of the share prices going up.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the last question. I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Rajesh Sharma for closing comments.
Thank you, Percy. Thank you, IIFL, and thank you all the participants for joining us on our con call on Q4 results. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone. Please stay safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. On behalf of IIFL Capital, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.